Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ameyo's webinar on transforming contact centers for the contactless world. We are excited to have you onboarded and take you through the very enormous journey of how contact centers are evolving. We'll discuss how companies are taking them to the remote operations, and then towards the end, we'll also discuss the story of SP Madrid. So if we go ahead, this is the agenda that we'll be discussing. I'll just introduce our speakers for the day. Welcome Mr. CYN Madrid. He's the General Manager of SP Madrid. Sir Ian started this building SP Madrid with his father back when there were only 4 agents. Ian is known for always being cheerful, positive, and highly driven for his employees to succeed. With his guidance and leadership, the company has been doubling its population every 2 years and projected to be in the 4,000 range by 2024. A lot of people are saying that he's very good in business, but people who are very close to him knows that his business success comes from his love for his employees. Just a point to add, he's also the founder and CEO of CYN Inc, a tech agency that helps organizations re-engineer the business processes for the future of work. Founder and CEO of Community Supply, a B2B reselling platform that helps suppliers reach thousands of online sellers in every community. A very warm welcome to Sir Ian. Our next speaker is Sir Cornelius Macalino. He loves himself being called as Neil, so he'll be referencing Neil. He is the Managing Director and co-founder of CYN Solution. Neil has more than 25 years of experience in the telecom industry. He's also the Vice President in Globe Telecom Communication for Business Development and International Retail. Also, he's the Vice President in CYN Telecommunication for the International Business Division. Third thing, he is also the Managing Director of PTI Japan Global Communications. A very warm welcome to Neil. Welcome to the webinar. And last but not least, I would like to invite Sachin Bhatia. He's the co-founder and head global sales and marketing for Ameyo. A computer scientist by heart, Sachin has been involved in understanding needs and delivering customer engagement solutions to consumer-facing companies. He's been working with CIOs and customer experience leaders in over 60 countries over the last 16 years and believes problems in emerging markets need unique solutions. So a very warm welcome to all the 3 speakers for the day. I would now like to hand over to Sachin, who will be moderating the complete session.
Hey, thanks, Nimesh. A very good afternoon to you in the Philippines, and Ian and Neil, pleasure to be hosting you this afternoon. We're living in unprecedented times. I think nobody could have expected, and we still don't know how this would turn out. And that amount of uncertainty is scary, is exciting, but is also an opportunity. And today's agenda is specifically for contact centers. We want to bring some of the journeys of what you have observed in the Philippines, because each region, we operate in about 50 regions right now. Each region has its own challenges, has its own nuances on how the pandemic has impacted and how they are thinking about this in long term. Now, all of us know that when the lockdowns were announced, and these are again in different stages, there was an immediate knee-jerk reaction on how do we maintain business continuity. I think a lot of countries allowed regulations to be relaxed so that you can do work from home. There was also business uncertainty, especially in verticals like travel, hospitality, wherein because there was immediate loss of business, how should they think about business? And what we have observed, over the last 8 to 12 weeks, enterprises, banks, BPOs, they were able to set up some sort of BCP plan very quickly, and industry has come together pretty strongly to make sure that the interactions are continued and there is business continuity. But today we want to learn some of the experiences that you guys had when COVID hit, right? Neil has been working with a lot of BPOs and enterprises in that customer contact center space. Ian, of course, runs his own full-scale BPO. We've spoken a few times about this in the past. So let me take this opportunity first to invite Neil to share what has been his observation, and I'll just bring up your slides, Neil, so that we can walk through it. Just give me a second here. Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it, Sachin.
Yeah, Neil. So why don't you briefly introduce what CYN does and what were your observations pre, post, and during, and post the lockdown? What do you see happening?
Well, all right. Thank you, Sachin. Actually, there's it's really the lockdown is really came as a surprise for us because of this pandemic. But when I was asked what did we do, so I thought of our company name is our company name tells it all because we're Cloud Your Network Solutions. So if you can go to the next slide. Our company is actually from the very start, everything is already on the cloud. So being on the cloud, we're used to working remotely and we used to deliver our services to our clients via remote, and we don't need any physical installation. In fact, with our partnership with Ameyo, Sachin, if you can go to the next slide. With our partnership with Ameyo, it makes us deploy our seamless end-to-end solutions to our customer. Actually, the strength of CYN and Ameyo goes hand in hand. Our strength really is on the telco side. And one thing that we observed when Ameyo was, of course, selling, or not selling, but offering their solutions to their customers, once they already had the customer buy-in, before they used to say to the customer, go to the telco and order this and that. But with our partnership with Ameyo, it really made us very strong and easy and faster to deploy. In fact, in this particular slide, the customer will just simply explain their desired use case and what are their call routings and target costings, and Ameyo and CYN works hand in hand to deliver the end result. So just a quick run through. This is one use case that has happened to us. It's an existing customer. This particular slide just shows us how fast we deployed a work from home. So it was March 13. I know it because Monday it's a sales meeting in the office. And although we in the office, and I'm sure like all other enterprise or other companies, they're doing their continuity plan because the president has already announced the possibility of a lockdown. But in my case, I really didn't know that it will happen that fast and immediately. In fact, on the following day, it was an enhanced community quarantine. So it's a total lockdown. So totally the business has shut down. But surprisingly, in that particular week, not surprisingly, but most likely one of our customers, existing customer, already planned for it. And immediately, they got this ready-to-go work-from-home solutions from Ameyo. And since our services are on the cloud, we just simply passed on the numbers to them and transferred all our telco infrastructure to them, so that by March 17, that's a Friday, so lockdown happened on a Tuesday. March 17, they were already up and going live. And of course, in any work-from-home, we have to be transparent that, of course, there were some fine-tuning after that. They have to fine-tune the reports because imagine their workers are not actually here in the Philippines. Their workers are in other countries. So the time, a simple flow on the alignment on the time makes a big difference on the report because, we didn't know that the agents were at that time zone. That's why it screws up the report, the productivity report, because everything. So it's just because of the time. And then we believe that the customer is happy because after those initial licenses and April 8th comes the, still the lockdown is there and expansion of license. And then delivered the same day. So that's one example. Then going to the next slide. Touching, okay. This is, it's kind of garbled, but nevertheless, I turned this customer as coming from scratch because it completed a full cycle, meaning it was still a lockdown on March 27, and it was a Friday, and they asked for this demonstration. However, one condition that they asked from us, if ever we're going to see the Ameyo capability, will you be able to provide a hotline service immediately along with the solution? And my thinking is this, because I have several requests from other companies for hotline numbers. I think this particular company serves some sort of a COVID response or maybe health industry or something, because they really need the hotline in such a way that if there's no hotline, we'll talk to another vendor. So we said yes. And then on Tuesday, we immediately did the scoping. And by Thursday, the following week, we got this firm requirement that we start with voice, we can immediately put it on live the following week. And then there's also SMS and ticketing, and then social. So that's when we found out the full-blown requirement of this company, which actually hinges on this criteria: ready infrastructure, ready solution, and fast deployment. So what happened is we met the target, April 6 go live. And then after that, after voice, they also requested for SMS, and it was also went live on May 4. And so far with the team of Ameyo, one thing very nice is that though Ameyo has an out-of-the-box solution, the customization is very easy, which I also found out as a partner, and I have to give praise to Ameyo because of the development team. And I guess during my visit to the Ameyo office last year, though Nick, which is my contact, and Sachin told me about one whole floor of developers, I really didn't get to see it. But according to when I was there, because it was a quick visit, there's a team of developer for one floor, and I do believe it because the swiftness of the customized solution was delivered. So again, another happy customer coming from scratch. May 12th, expansion of additional licenses were ordered and so forth and so on was delivered. And it's not a simple solution because it's a combination of voice, SMS, and social. Yeah. So what do we observe? If you can go on to the next slide. Sachin. Okay. So this is just to share our experience, and I just have to get this data immediately, so I didn't go for the inbound calls on as well. So what we found out is that we say that it's contactless, less face-to-face, but in reality, what we see is like the theme of our webinar, human to human. So it's a contact center for a contactless world. But this is just to show you the behavior of calls. So January, February was a normal month. We're coasting along with some growth. Then March, middle of March, the lockdown hit. Okay, we still have a good first half, and there's still probably some work from home. But come April, it's really the fullness of the lockdown. And these are only outbound calls. I didn't get the inbound calls only. But come May, because of the solutions that are in place, the BPOs, their disaster recovery, even the enterprises are into it, we see the traffic coming back. And then come June, most likely most of the solutions are there. Even our traffic from January almost doubled in June. And now I see that these calls are actually outbound calls, regardless of industry. Meaning, I see you can see calls from different industries, from banking, collection, even services, trying to sell sales, and most of all, maybe even health. And I think one of the contributing factor as well on this growth of outbound calls. Sure, there's human-to-human agent, but I think there are also voice blasters, which I think Ameyo also has that. So it's a combination of actual calls by the agent and voice blasters. So basically, this is our experience from March until the present. It was quite fast, really quite fast. But there's a lot of things that happened. That's why we're so busy even with the lockdown, work from home.
No, Neil,
That's our experience, Sachin.
Yeah, the numbers and the data that you've shared is quite incredible. There's a 100% increase from lockdown levels, and that's quite phenomenal. And surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, we have observed the same trend across regions, right? So whether it's Philippines, Middle East, India, Africa, and I'm going to touch a little bit about that. But thank you so much for your kind words and sharing some of the insights, Neil. Let me bring in my friend Ian here. He has a very interesting journey to share from a BPO operations point of view and a more human side to how lockdown actually impacted. Ian, let me bring you in right now. I would like you to share SP Madrid's journey and how did you guys respond to the lockdown. Please take it.
Okay, thank you, Sachin, and thank you for this invitation. I'll try to run through my slides real quick, and I made this basically as much as possible closest to the timeline that what really happened during those times. And when we were preparing, when I was preparing this slide, I was actually having a lot of I was really reminiscing what happened back then, and thinking about it, like it happened very, very fast, like from the month of March, and right now we're already at the middle of July, or nearing August already, April, May, June, July, August. So it's more like 5 months already. Am I correct? Or 5 months more or less in the adjusting our operations and everything. And looking at the entire situation, we've been doing a lot of new things every day, day in, day out, and it's like when I was preparing the slides, I was basically thinking like it kind of felt like this happened like a year or two back already because of how so many things happened already for the past few months. And if you can, so just to give everyone context, can we go to the next slide? Hello? Can you hear me? So I'll just wait for Sachin. Neil, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ian.
Okay, so I'll just wait for Sachin to move forward to the next slide.
Okay.
I think it's the link. We're supposed to move forward to the link, Sachin.
Guys, sorry, I got dropped off. I've just reconnected. Just give me 1 second.
No problem. So the next tab.
Yeah. Is this
so I'll share. Yes. So I'll share a story. So just to give everyone context, who we are, so they could really relate to how we experienced COVID and how it affected basically everyone in the company. So we are a BPO for collections in the Philippines. So we basically do call collections, field collections, credit investigation, legal, vehicle repossession, and housing foreclosure. So pretty much everything you can think of in terms of what the bank needs in terms of collections and debt recovery. Next slide, please. So we are. So this is last year's number already. So we are already at 1,150 last year. Recovery daily is around 15 million pesos, with field visits all over the Philippines at around 3,600. We also process legal cases. So it's also another BPO within a BPO, which we do. We process legal cases for a lot of our clients. We have one of the best collection rates in the industry. So I just specified one level because it's hard to put all of the buckets here. So it's 15%. We have application of 670 daily nationwide because we run a lot of social media marketing campaigns, and we churn 500,000 per hour. And thanks to a lot of the also from the technology of Ameyo. And the next slide, please. So this is our office, and I mean it's kind of emotional whenever we look at the office now, and every now and then when we check the webcam in the office and everybody's missing the office because the office vibe is really, really cool. And there's no social distancing back there. It's like this is like 5 years ago already when you think about it. Like people can sit side by side with each other. Next slide. So, and our receiving area, so we have a full working coffee bar and a full-time barista. I think Neil has been there already. So, and then next slide.
Yes.
So we were on track to double our size every 2 years. So that has been our trend ever since the company started, like 12 years back. We started with 4 agents, very humbling years, and we've been doubling our size for every 2 years, and we are projected to be in the 4,000 range by 2024. It's just like hopefully we get there. And of course, this is a major setback what's happening right now. But when we look at the grand scheme of things, I think it's still achievable for the company. So I have this project. Next slide, please. So we have this project in another site in Metro Manila. So this is already 95% completed for the seater expansion. Everything's already there. I mean, and then even for the office chairs that we've sourced from China, they were supposed to import it on December, and then it kind of got stuck during the holiday, customs importation rush. So they moved it to January, February, and then the Wuhan thing in China happened, and then so until now we still haven't gotten those office chairs, but this is almost done already. Like in the month of February, March, we were already 95% completed. We're just finalizing the permits. And this is one of the biggest. So every year we always have this next biggest expansion. So so last year we completed the Pangasinan site. So I told everyone that was the biggest expansion ever. And then this one is the biggest expansion ever. So we always had that because we were always doubling our size. So while this was happening around March, the COVID scenario was already in the background. So it was coronavirus back then. If my dates are correct, January, February, that's the time when China locked down Wuhan. So it's like we were thinking of all these aggressive expansions, but at the same time, there's a big tsunami coming because around January, February, other countries are starting to lock down. Right, the economy was being locked down, cities were being locked down, and I know it's just a matter of time before it just it's inevitable that it will also happen in the Philippines because there's a lot of Chinese in and out here in the Philippines. So next slide, please. So during like the month of February and March, we were already preparing really hard to keep everyone sane and safe. Like I was managing everyone's sanity. So we did we set up all the safety protocols, disinfections. Next slide, please. And we have already, even like a month before the president announced the lockdown, we were already doing social distancing in the office. All of the people working in the kitchen were already wearing masks, lab gowns. Everyone was sitting alone every time they ate. So this was during this time, we don't know what the response of the government would be when they would lock it down. And clients, of course, it's just basically the nature of the business. Everyone is really aggressive with us in terms of their numbers, targets, performances. All of their clients were still talking about business. No one was talking about COVID. Not until the president spoke about COVID. Everybody took it seriously. But during these times, I was already afraid about COVID. I was afraid of my health, my family, and everyone. So it's like I don't know which way to go. Do we become more offensive or do we become more defensive? And at the end of the day, you can only do so much. You only have that much amount of energy to spend on what to think every hour. So next slide, please. So March 12, like this was the first community quarantine. This was the time when the president spoke about the first community quarantine. So they were already hinting about lockdowns. We were already getting a lot of hints all over the social media what was going to happen. So there was already that scare in the atmosphere here in the Philippines. So when the president formalized it for the first community quarantine, as background, 90% of our employees are like from the province. So for those people living within the same island, I'm not sure if so that everybody can relate. They're like 5 hours away by bus from Metro Manila, from the city, and others are like a plane away from another island. So everybody was panicking, like I have to go home before they lock down the Metro Manila. So everybody was panicking. Everybody was packing their stuff. All of our social media, our private chat groups. So employees have their own chat groups, right? So each group has their own, private chat groups. All of the managers and leaders were texting me and saying everyone was panicking. A lot of girls were crying. They're packing their bags. They're ready to go to the bus station, plane. they were ready to book their ticket on the spot. And I mean that was fine because it's just a human reaction. But my only fear also for them was that if they rush it too quickly, they might get infected in the process. So I was trying to calm everybody down, and I told them, okay, if they won't calm down with your own chat groups, put them on Facebook Live. I'll do my own Facebook Live right now. So get everybody together and let's talk about this maturely, calmly. And you know what? I just realized I discovered the first cure for the coronavirus. So next slide, please. So this is what happened. So there's this famous dance craze in the Philippines back in Christmas time. So it's called Tala. Everybody was dancing it. All of the little girls in the Philippines are dancing it, and some of the they're putting it on YouTube. So just to calm everybody down, I did that on Facebook Live so that everybody was laughing. So just to calm the mood. And then next slide, please. So I just documented some of what so we talked about what happened. I told them to calm down. I told them the government would give us enough time to move. It won't be like the next day. So I told them to calm down. Let's take this rationally. And Miss Mary Joy, one of our employees, said, sorry, thank you so much. So this is in Tagalog, but I'll just translate. So thank you so much for waking everyone up and being disciplined during these times. I mean, it's just being grateful for your care. And the other one of our employees said, sir, you should have sat beside the president to calm everyone down because everyone was like, they forgot. Everybody was laughing during that Facebook Live that they forgot about their fears and worries. So next slide, please. So this was March 12. March 17 was the last day that there was a hint that the president will go on full lockdown. So March 17 that night. I still remember these people were already wearing masks, like 80%. It was a really scary sight because for so long you're not used to seeing a lot of people wearing masks, right? And then you see it left and right. There's a lot of police cars in Makati, and even the fire trucks and ambulances. Like everyone was activated to be on. It was like everyone was on alert mode at that time. So next slide, please. So this is our story. Overnight, everything stopped from 120 kilometers per hour to zero. Why? Because our business is basically, of course, non-essential at the moment at that point in time. And then the knee-jerk reaction of everyone is really to hold on to their money, right? So we're in the business of collections. Everyone hold on to their money. Everyone left. So the PPO was closed. Everyone shut down. So we can't make any effort for collections. And last but not the least, all of the banks 100% sympathize with the clients and with the economy, right? So there's no collections. Even if we can make them report for work, even if we can make them report work for home, there's no work to be done because they stop everything. So it was like 120 kilometers per hour to zero. Neil's business is better. He can still do business, yet proceed with some projects. But for us, it's like there's no point asking for people to report to work. So next slide, please. So day one of work from home. So fortunately, I was able to gather enough computers from the office. And then we just started, gathering everyone together just to be on live. A lot of people during those times, because March is like, we call that Holy Week in the Philippines, there's this long vacation, and people have that mindset of, March, summer, so we have to be in the beach or vacation. So I've noticed a lot of people just went on vacation mode, right? When the president announced the lockdown, it was also vacation mode in there. The mindset was vacation mode. So TikTok was like, the number one thing to do for a lot of people. But all of us, we started working on day one. Next slide, please. So we had to rebuild everything again. So we tracked everybody down. So our analytics team gathered all the information, data, survey. We tracked all the households, demographics, male, female, if there's any comorbidity. We even tracked the status of their income. So we would know if, what's our time frame for each household to have their income get depleted. So we were really tracking everything, and this was like the full-time work of the HR and the managers and the leaders. We don't have work, so our work is really to take care of the people. And then next slide, please. And then since there's nothing to do every day, and then there's no work, I just asked them, okay, submit your productive photos. So we were doing Facebook Live three times a day. So there's audio live, there's Facebook Live. We were doing this on our own, private Facebook group. So everybody, what was so surprising when I was asking for productive photos, everyone was doing planting. I don't know, for some reason, everybody just planted. So maybe it's also, I don't know, it's just a human instinct to do planting right away. So next slide. So and to it kind of evolved. I asked them for creative photos. So they submitted all types of creative photos. Next slide, please. And then later on, it became very competitive because we were giving small prizes for the winners, and then everybody was getting entertained. So it became competitive already. Next slide, please. So there, I mean, like for example, for this girl, she's doing like a South Korean vibes, but it was just in her backyard. She took out her luggage, wore the outfit, and then made the filters the leaves like an autumn type of landscape. Next slide, please. But during these times, even though I was trying to distract them with this type of activities, their presence is really real. So it was like I have to manage everything from trying to keep them entertained and being happy. And at the same time, we did a lot of reflection, meditation. We did a lot of writing. I even read them books. We did fiction writing contests. Leaders submitted writing because there was no work. So there's nothing. I have to be imaginative to just keep them busy and have still keep everyone intact. Next slide, please. So this was last year, 2019. So every year we always have this grand awarding in a big ballroom. It's like an events place, and it's like this one big event that everybody dress up for the occasion, and it's like a very big deal for the awarding because there's a lot of recognition, bragging rights, and plus travel abroad, all expense paid trip travel abroad for the main awardees. Next slide. So I thought it was canceled, but not. We didn't cancel it. So we did a 6 days of awarding from home. So everybody dressed up. We even did a fashion contest. Everyone sent their own, representative, and it became later on kind of competitive also. So, and next slide, please. And the awarding still continued. And we even gave the Travel Abroad Award, even though we don't know when we can travel again. But at least it was still part of the awards. Next slide, please. But not everything is good news. At the back of my head, I still have this problem, this really, really big problem, like this big expansion, because the rental, it's like a monthly thing. It's not like this would also stop. So I talked to the owner if they could at least support us, because we were really having a hard time paying for it. And think about it, this was already like 2 months already, 2 or 2.5 months already into the lockdown. And we don't know when, of course, we have to look at this like when, it's not like when will collection start, but when will recovery start to happen, like when we will be able to hit break-even point. So next slide. So there was zero work, but what I really want to share, but we were just together every single day. We have all these problems, but we were just together every single day. We checked the news, we checked the health, we did a lot of activities. We were just together every single day. Next slide. So June 1, this is the time where some of our engineers and IT guys started coordinating with Ameyo. So we were trying to make work from home operational, and there were a lot of questions in our head, like if it would work or not. Most of the employees that we have are on mobile data. We don't know the kind of internet infrastructure in the province. So there's a lot of questions to be answered, and we don't know if it will be operational. So it's like, do we force them to go back to the office? Do we make work from home possible? Would Ameyo work at home? There's really a ton of technical questions to be answered. So anyway, for 2 weeks we run a pilot test for 7 people, and they we run a pilot test for 7 people, and for that week, just for the pilot test, one agent was able to collect 102,000. So I thought it was just going to be a few tiny pesos of collections just for the prototype, because it was work from home and they were not doing anything. So I don't know if it would work, and even for the the technology that was set up was just way below to what the office can compare. Next slide, please. So for 2 weeks straight, with just one guy made 100 to 166,000 payment from a client working from home, using the Ameyo, the dialer from a laptop on an internet that he asked the neighbor to get connected with from the Wi-Fi. So it's not like his own Wi-Fi. He can't even afford Wi-Fi at that point. Next slide, please. So we made an announcement to everyone that we did a live, and then we doubled down on this. We made an arrangement for them, and we got everyone on board. If you can make this work from your houses, we will increase the incentive from this much to 8%, before in the office to 50%. And everyone was really running low on cash, because this was already like 2.5 months already into the lockdown, and they were supporting their families. And we made commissions instead of monthly, we made it weekly. Next slide, please. And then everyone was going crazy about the commissions. They saw it. And then we even told them that this would even work based from the engineering and the coordination with Ameyo. We were able to make this work on a laptop internet with a 1 Mbps connection. So they were still hooked to the service into the office. They were still connected to the investment that we've made in the office, service, and Ameyo. So it would still work. Next slide, please. So this basically, so we doubled down on what happened, and we place it as a symbol of hope for everyone. And then they're saying, like, predictive dagger at home, they were surprised, they were so happy about it. And then they're saying nothing is impossible, because they saw that this is their way out out of literally being hungry. So next slide, please. So this guy who we did a prototype for 2 weeks, he was able to collect from his home. I don't know if it was just pure luck or what, but he was able to collect 166,102, which translated to 32,000 income at a time when every peso really counts during those times. So next slide, please. And then he sent us this message. At the very start, I didn't expect any kind of commission because I knew it was just purely for testing only. Little did I know that I would be making this much amount of money. I'm very thankful to SP Madrid. You guys are awesome. Anything is possible. So it's actually awesome because of the technology. And then the next week, everyone became bonkers about setting their work from home stations. So they're not planting anymore. Everybody took out their laptops, and then they were buying that mobile LTE left and right for PLDT because it's the compatible type of Wi-Fi working for Ameyo. Next slide, please. And then we even have this employee who his full-time work became sourcing out PLDT Wi-Fi and distributing it to everyone in the province. So it became his full-time work already. He was buying PLDT modems left and right, and then he was distributing it to all over the province. Next slide. So we just kept on doing rinse and repeat project, everything that we've been doing. So we just kept sprinting faster than our problems. Next slide. And then finally, we are getting some results. So before it, we were just trying to make ends meet. We were trying to advance some incentives, salaries. We're putting some vacation leaves. We're trying to pay everybody in advance just to feed them. But finally, we're getting some results. So because, the wheels started turning again, and these are like a lot. There's a lot actually of commissions that they've made already when we started opening. Next slide. But we're still running 30% from capacity even at this point because of they're still working from home, and there's still a lot of employees that are under lockdown. Next slide. And just recently, the clients started coming in again, and then because of all of our activities that they're seeing on social media, and all of our employees are active and engaged, backers started coming in again, and they're asking for even more seats compared to what we were handling before with them. So maybe it's also some of the reason. Maybe some of the agencies are still struggling to operate, so we're getting more calls right now and asking for proposals because they're also having problems internally that they're also trying to outsource to us. Next slide. So if you still remember this, my original problem. Next slide. Just last week, instead of closing it, we are rushing to open it. So we're already thinking of closing it before because we can't, it's really hitting us hard. So instead of closing it, we are rushing to open it. So the 400-seat expansion is about to happen, but of course, because of social distancing, it will be 200 instead. And last slide. So it's kind of a bit long, but I really want to put this at the last part. So we've been with Ameyo and Drishti since 2015, and I'm a bit I'm very happy to the support that we've gotten with Drishti and Ameyo through the years. Actually, even with Nick, he has been very patient with us. Sorry, I'm a bit emotional.
Let me first say that I have been to hundreds of such sessions, but sharing something which is so close to you out in the public, I have never seen something like that, and that is why I didn't interrupt you. I think it's a story of true leadership when you don't know. Obviously, there's so much uncertainty, but when you don't know and you show genuine care for people who are around you, I think magic happens, and that is what you have proven. I'm a technology guy, but I'm also a founder. I know the importance of communication and keeping everybody calm. But I think you showed me how to do it. I've learned a lot today, and I'm sure our audience would have also derived value out of it. And I think the next slide actually sums it up pretty nicely. So, we have observed, Ian and Neil, that there is a lot of anxiety in general, right? Obviously, we're talking business to business technology and stuff like that, but there is in general a heightened sense of anxiety, right? And when we are anxious, what calms us down? It's usually a communication with a loved one, a trusted one, when you're able to share. And if I ask this question to everybody, are we more in touch with our friends or less in touch with our friends during the pandemic? The answer is mostly we are more in touch. We are doing it virtually, but there is more need. The same situation is happening in the business to consumer communication also. So where is my order? Will it be delivered? Are you working? Can I pay later? Those kind of anxiety, emotion-related questions we have seen, and I think Neil presented that data that there is in general a rise in the volume of interactions that are happening. And this also means, gentlemen, that contact centers probably will play a very, very pivotal role in business transformations, right? Because there is no physical selling, people are not walking into the store. How would the selling happen? How would the communication happen? So we have seen that completely physical models being transformed to remote models, and contact centers now playing not just a support function, but actually driving sales, service, collections, because they are the only methods that are available for a business to consumer communication today. There is another trend that we have observed, and I think Ian touched it a little bit, and we have seen that happening more in our part of the world. And I want to take everyone through a little bit of unit economics of remote contact centers. Right now, we all know that contact centers are very closely knit tribes. There is buzz on the floor, and Ian's office showed that. But if you break it down to a little bit of math, if the biggest cost in a contact center is, of course, the manpower, right? That's the biggest cost because completely dependent on that. And the second biggest cost is infrastructure. And if we look at the ratios of these two, the infrastructure cost is about 25% of the manpower cost. And I'm talking in general, roughly, that's the number. Now, being the leaders that we are in the contact center space, and assuming that there is going to be cost pressure on businesses, and there is no denying it, economies are going to slow down, right? This is not just going to bounce back as soon as the lockdowns get over. I think there are lasting impacts, and there might be a U-shaped or a V-shaped recovery. But for a contact center function, given that it's at the center stage, it will be driving sales, service, collection, and given that the infrastructure is about 25% of agent's cost, so let's say you're 12% of the gross margin. It's a huge opportunity to take that leap of faith and start exploring models which are completely remote or hybrid models, right? If not completely remote. And that is the second part I want to bring you guys in. Do you think the remote contact center is a temporary step, or is there a long-term strategic benefit of doing it completely remote? Let me bring in Neil first. What are your observations, Neil? Do you think contact centers will go back to the way they were working, or is this going to stay forever?
Well, first of all, Sachin, Ian, it's a very nice presentation. You really up the level of management. So actually, we have to learn how to dance and increase our commissions. But anyway, going back to the question, my answer is just one word. It's work from home brings a lot of, my one word is productivity. Productivity. If you can assure that your agent or you're working is productive and results are there, I think work from home can be a hybrid thing, because a lot of savings. Of course, there's expenses as well for the infrastructure, but the savings might overpass the cost and even the extra effort and process to put into work from home. That's my view. For as long as the productivity and the tools are there, I think work from home can really thrive.
Yeah. Ian, what do you think? You have got people to get completely motivated, and I love the experiment of running a pilot with 7 people, showing success that this can work, and then everybody rallying behind that idea. Are you guys thinking about a hybrid model? Do you think this is worth experimenting? People can stay in the provinces and work. What are your thoughts?
Actually, the funny thing about the entire scenario now is it's not really within our control. It's really the control of the COVID. So if we would take out the COVID out of the equation, actually the future is really a lot of hybrid models and work from home. But technically speaking, on a purely performance point of view, if you would just compare what's happening now, and people can do work from home, and even if you set them up with a lot of technologies, you would still get a lot of productivity if you just gather everybody back into the office. If you just compare it from the short term of what happened now versus to the long term of how we've been doing business for so long. But if you compare the future of, like, let's say 5 to 10 years from now to in comparison to what we're doing now, definitely there's a big potential in future for people to move from where we came from and to how it's going to be designed into the future. And just to share with you, we've always been it's always a philosophy of ours to move everything from simplicity to complexity. It's just like the design of the universe. Like, there's no iPhone before, there's iPhone now. Or there's an egg, it's not a scrambled egg, and then became a scrambled egg, and then you can put it back to being a whole egg anymore. So it's also the same thing that I think what COVID did is it broke the setup of putting everyone in one place. And since it's already out in the open. Hello?
Yeah. We can hear you. We just thought this is a good time. This is a good time to bring in the audience.
So since everything's already out in the open and we can't go back anymore, definitely everyone will double down on this setup. And I think it's going to be, there's no turning back now. Just to simplify it.
Yeah. I have been talking to the leaders in the industry and in the contact center space. Some of the other ancillary advantages, and I was discussing with some of the leaders in the large BPO space, think that what kind of changes would happen in long run if let's say remote was a reality. Of course, we have talked about gross margin and business, but on the people side, what kind of changes? People can stay close to their loved ones, which I think if your mind is calm, you bring your best to work, right? If you're around your family, if you're around your loved ones, and I know culturally Philippines and India are very, very similar. We are very emotional people. We have these strong bondages with family and can stay and take care of our parents, make sure that they're healthy, in front of our eyes. I think it matters a lot to everyone. The second thing is, think about the kind of workforce that is available, right? So right now we are talking about young folks who are coming in, but you could also have, in markets like India, we have skilled people who cannot do full-time job, let's say housewives, right? So you have educated folks who are available who will be very motivated to contribute because those models were not available. You needed to be in a big city, close to a operations to actually work, which means that you have to leave a lot behind, but you can actually do that and still contribute and use your skills. So I think the disruption is going to stay. And I had a chat with Ian. I think it not be completely remote because there has to be this culture building. Otherwise, that fundamental nature of a team, the fundamental nature of a tribe gets lost. So you'll have to creatively, maybe office spaces will become places for learning and culture, and then work could happen from anywhere, right? And there are experiments being done right now, and this is the time to do those pilots, guys, because if we are able to get to that stage that you can run mostly remotely, there are huge economic as well as people advantages that can happen, and people who will actually crack this will be ahead of the game in the market. We ran a short poll with the audience. I don't know if the results were visible to everyone, but I'm happy to read them out. So we gave 3 options. Yeah, was it a long-term? Do you think work from home or remote would be long-term? Is it short-term process till pandemic ends? And I can't say. These were the 3 options. Can't say 14%. So there are people who are still observing and they're not sure. 14% people are saying this is short-term process till the pandemic ends, and over overwhelming 71% people are saying that this is going to be long term. And that basically validates, what we have seen across, apart from a few geographies like Middle East where this equation doesn't matter, the unit economics is very different. I think that is driving, because it's people-centric and the businesses can innovate. I think this is going to be a very, very long-term movement. Okay, let me, we are really, really running short on time. So let me bring a point that we have been pondering about. Everybody did a knee-jerk reaction. Ameyo has been helping its customers. We didn't cover that a lot, but let me just share that we have already helped 50,000 agents moved remote across geographies. And this is changing, week by week. More and more companies are doing that. In India, there is a regulation also which was relaxed till 31st of December. So people are going to move to remote completely. We have also been talking to our customers and their customers that what are the top challenges. And I'm not talking about just knee-jerk challenges. I'm talking about strategic challenges in thinking long-term remote, right? What are the top 2 or 3 points that you think if we resolve them, we can run this remote forever? Let me bring Ian first. Ian, what are your top thoughts if you have to, and you've already experimented, with a few things. What would be top 2, 3 things that you would want, maybe in technology and people, think widely. What are the top of the mind concerns when you're thinking remote?
Well, in terms of remote, in terms of technology, I don't have much concerns about it because technology just catches up in time, and people are very innovative. Companies and innovators will just keep on putting these applications and technology in place for everybody to settle down doing work from home. The main critical point here is really the mindset between because we can already call people going to for an office work or being employed, it's already what we call a traditional type of setup. It's already like it's already like a dinosaur setup. And so moving forward, this is going to be a trend, and it's just a prediction on my part. One, loyalty will be a major concern. 2, also dishonesty. Definitely, there's a lot of people listening to you and watching YouTube and doing Facebook at the other screen. They're just going to be placing their phones at the side of your webcam, and you wouldn't even know what they're doing anymore. People can start doing their own thing at home while you think they're working for you. So they can start selling food, doing other businesses, and it's not actually a bad thing. It's just a matter of us in businesses to adapt to this kind of new norms already. Yeah. And it's also designing something like a different type of, and I think the future design of, companies, businesses, and freelancers, entrepreneurs working side by side, it's not really a game of, putting people in boxes anymore. I think that's already a thing of the past.
Absolutely.
And the sooner that you get to accept that kind of reality, the sooner that you get to imagine more of what the future can be. So I think it's going to be more crazy and more complex than what we can even imagine right now. The most that we can do right now is really imagine, but to execute it properly, it's a different ballgame.
Absolutely, and I think there will be different kind of people who are self-motivated entrepreneurs who will come forward, who don't need micromanagement, because micromanagement would not be possible, right? So I think you will have a different breed of people who will come in, and the models would be, people who are able to contribute, they can make more, but it'll be very risk-reward kind of scenario. Everybody will be an entrepreneur, which is what I foresee, but very, very good points there. Neil, what do you see as the top challenges? You've been a technology guy and a people guy. Are there clear thoughts on what do you think are the top challenges?
Well, for me, I echo the same sentiments or the thoughts of Ian, but I just wanted to add one thing that's very hard. Although we even work from home, although we have the tools and monitoring, it's so hard to collaborate, meaning the creativity. Comparing if you're in the office, you can easily call people together and brainstorm on a particular project. So I guess on a long-term basis or short-term basis, of course we have to do remotely, but on a long-term basis, it will depend on the specific task or objective of the group. Meaning, there could be some people. It's a hybrid. Meaning, there are some positions that cannot really be work from home. Mainly because they are needed physically, or they work together better if they're present together. Ian's company has a very nice culture, and every company has a culture. And if you are away from each other, that culture somewhat dissipates. And you have to, just like what he did, he constantly communicates so that the culture, and that's the toughest part to really have in a company, a very good, productive, and loyal, and moving forward culture. And working from home really minimizes that. But for me, again, just to reiterate, it's depending on the task of the group. So some can be work from home, but there are vital functions that really has to be in the office.
Sure, Neil, sure. I agree. There will be roles, and the culture part is a very important part on how do you continue to build that culture. We went out and talked to our customers who were moving remote, that what sort of challenges that they were seeing on the ground, and not just technology challenges, but we as a partner wanted to learn and be prepared that what is it that we can do of maybe needs that we even don't understand today, right? Today our software basically does routing and monitoring. Is there something else that we need to build to facilitate some of the concerns that people are observing on the floor? And I'm just quickly sharing, there are 3 themes that we heard around challenges in remote. I just wanted to share that insight with everyone, and maybe then we'll do a quick poll on what do they think, what does our audience think is the top problem. So the first problem, and I will come back to Ian's point, was the problem of governance. And this is not just IT, but I think IT and operational governance. When you're on the floor and the agent is saying, I have a problem, right? He raises his hand. There is somebody to address that. The problem can be identified and fixed there and then. But let's say somebody is now texting that I have a problem. What do you trust? Do you trust the network? Do you trust the device? Or do you trust the agent, right? The points that Ian mentioned. And hence this, there has to be proactive governance, a little bit of data analytics involved for you to isolate, one-off incidents versus here is a trend, right? And that would help people take some intelligent decisions. For example, Ian mentioned about PLDT internet. Which internet is working? Let's say you have 1,000 agents. Some are using Globe, some of them are using PLDT. Is it across? Whether there's a regional variation? What kind of devices? We even observed in India, people didn't have laptops. It was impossible to give them laptops, and we actually launched something called a mobile contact center in hand, which is with full complete capability. And we were able to get to device stats, that whether the device is behaving okay, and whether the network is behaving okay, proactively monitoring it and telling the supervisor, maybe this agent is facing problems, you might want to take him off the queue, or if you want, we'll take him off the queue automatically, and stuff like that. Proactively building trust in what is being shown, what is being said, was the first problem that we had. There was very interesting use case in India in fintech, where somebody says the agent has the username and password. How am I sure that it's the agent who is logging in? Now we said, oh man, this is in financial services, this is a very important point. And then we made sure that that device has to be authenticated. We recently did a video KYC product. We can even do a facial authentication so that we make sure that it's the agent who is logging in, because for some of the processes, it's going to be critical, right? So how do you keep building trust in what you assumed granted in office can done remotely, whether it's network monitoring, whether it's device monitoring, whether it's agent monitoring, or whether it's authentication? That was the first area, let's call it governance. The second area, which I think is the people side of things. Today you have your agents who understand the processes. I've seen so many contact center flows across the globe, and there's this always a agent raises his hand and a TL would come in, walk in, buddy Jack, and there's a question being answered by the supervisor there and then. How do you do this collaboration remotely? How do you make sure that if there is a doubt, it will get answered, right? Because it is not that agents would know everything. And we are still talking about the agents who are already on board. What if a new agent is onboarded? How would he or she get that tribal knowledge that exists in the contact center when somebody has a customer call and they ask the buddy on the next seat, hey, the customer is saying this, what do we do now, right? We still don't have that level of processization or documentation, and I think it would never happen in a human-to-human interaction. There will always be decisions to be taken by the agent. How would that knowledge and the confidence get built? That's the onboarding and the collaboration problem that we are talking.
Hello, Sachin? Neil, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
It's Sachin, which got cut off.
Okay. Actually, just to let's wait for
Go ahead,
Sachin.
Ian.
I'm
Go ahead,
I
Ian.
think the host now.
Yeah.
No, I
Okay.
know a while ago when we were talking about setting up a work from home type of scenario. One of the strategies that we are doing now, and it's more or less like anticipating to the design of the future. It's like, for example, if you imagine the business is like one piece before COVID happened, and then right now everybody's thinking of work from home, remote work, people are all over the place. So it's really reimagining the business process of, instead of having it as one piece, it's going to be like a lot of pieces already being farmed out. So instead of thinking, because before, when you have an employee inside the office, the idea is like, it's not, for lack of a better term, the employee is really like imprisoned inside the office from 8 to 5. So anything can happen within the productivity of the business during that time, right? 8 to 5. So it can be like they'll be focused on one type of work, or they'll be assisting other types of work. At the end of the day, they just want to be productive because they're there in the office 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., right? But now, since they're at home, how would you be able to get that kind of mindset from the same employees who shifted from being in the same office? Sometimes they can't touch their phones. It would be unethical for them to do Facebook, YouTube, take care of kids and bring them in the office, when at home they can do that anytime, right? So right now, what we're doing is that we are shifting. Instead of looking at them as just one employee doing 8 to 5, we're thinking of like this small amount of pieces. So we're not really looking at the employees now in terms of changing what they should or should not do. But what we are doing right now is really breaking the entire business process into a lot of pieces. So that's really the hardest part right now. It's really to break it into a lot of pieces. So at least that's the hardest part of it, Sachin. Sometimes you just want to have that relationship to be more like a human-human type of relationship. But then at the end of the day, business runs on numbers.
Absolutely.
And
you have.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just wanted to add because I share the same view. Granularity, meaning you have to have things measured. Anything that you cannot measure, you cannot manage. So what you're saying is just put it in a box. Each of these tasks, even if it's work from home, if this box is properly measured and controlled, monitored with the right governance, then you can achieve it. But it's a tough thing for the management because you have to create that new process.
And incidentally, the third point that we discovered was exactly what you just mentioned. That how do you make sure that you are measuring across distributed workforce, right? So absolutely right. Contact centers are typically measured on some very lagging matrices like handling time and login time. And I think the matrices will have to completely change and the frequency will have to change. That what is the output right now? What's the end result right now? And management will have to be very, very clearly, so you can't wait for monthly reports anymore, right? This has to be on the fly monitoring of what is happening and taking those decisions. So those were the three areas. So Neil, I think you read it very right. Ian and Neil, both of you said breaking that operational process, and sort of having very clear input-output dimensions. That's the business operations part that we learned. So those are the three challenges that we heard in long-term strategic remote. Can we run a poll, guys? Can we ask the audience also what they think is the top challenge? The governance of infrastructure, who do you trust? Onboarding, collaboration, the people issues, or the operations? How do you make sure that you are measuring everything and then improving everything? What are the top challenges in your head? And just select one, guys. We want to know that what are the top priorities for everyone. Excellent. So we already have like 30–40% people voting in. Yeah. Unfortunately, the panelists are not allowed to poll, so it's only the audience.
Yeah, I'm trying to hit it also.
No, we basically facilitate it. In the meantime, there are, this is a very engaging session. A lot of people are asking me questions. There's one gentleman, Samir, who said I shouldn't have interrupted Ian. I think he was getting emotional. I am sorry. I'm sorry, but I was getting emotional. I wanted to make sure that we all understand what is being said in detail and move forward from there. There are more questions. We will take some questions at the end of this session. Let me see. Okay. Is there a video copy? Yes, it will be shared. I think the team has already answered that. The video and the slides would be shared. Sanil, Ian, I'm hoping you're okay with sharing this in the public. There's this very beautiful story. Very beautiful story. Okay, so we have the results now. 14% people, and this is, let me first share upfront, this is very different from what I have heard across the globe. The second challenge seemed to be the most prominent one in other parts, but onboarding and collaboration seems to be the lowest priority. Business operations monitoring is 34%. And then governance or trust issues on the network, on the device seems to be the highest. And that is what I like about these sessions, that it gives us the regional flavor of how a specific market is behaving. In Africa, when we did in Nigeria, IT was the biggest problem because there you don't even have continued power supply. And the cost of diesel was the biggest concern that people had in running generators. Could you imagine that, right? So this was very interesting. Let me just move forward very quickly, guys. We have run out of time completely. So we at Ameyo have, over the last 6–8 weeks, have been working on these three problems and continuously talking to our customers and enhancing. We even don't understand how this would play out, but I think talking to the customers is the only way we will learn. And we have been able to bring out features faster than the competition, and our customers have been pleasantly surprised, and some of the examples were shared today. And we are very hungry for understanding what else can we do. Not just the standard contact center software, but is there something that we can do in collaboration? We've already launched something called video. We think video will be the future. We are launching it in the Philippines very soon. There are a few going on because a human-to-human video, I think it is invaluable. Like we are right now talking, it is the next experience to being physical, and I think high-value interactions will happen on video. Imagine a loan interview happening. I think it will happen on video, in the future, and not physical space. Okay, so I think guys, I don't want to do like our complete presentation. I think that's not needed, but just want to talk about the mobile application. If you're curious to know more about Ameyo, please write to info@ameyo.com, visit our website, or get in touch with our partners, CYN. With that, let me take a couple of questions if there are any, and I'll stop the presentation. I think we've run out of time, but this is one of the most engaging sessions, and Philippines is a country that doesn't fail to surprise me every time. From 2006, whenever I've been there, it's the country that I feel closest to the culture that I come from. And this session was an example of that. So thank you so much. And as you guys say, salamat po. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Ian.
Guys, if there are questions, team, we can take them in a couple of, we can spend a couple of minutes. I think there were some questions. How productive can the agents be if they are made to operate in a remote contact center? I think Ian gave that example. They can, would you want to put a percentage to it, Ian?
Yeah, actually, I was also thinking about it, the answer that I gave a while ago. I think at the end of the day, from a business point of view, um, for lack of a better term, um, I think the number one loyalty of employees would be based on money, based on income. So I think if we are able to set up, like with the help of Ameyo, a lot of technologies that are coming up. So let's say there's this agent that can spend any of their time all throughout the day. It's either they would do their time, they would process your system or be part of your organization, or would they start planting and selling whatever outside of their street? The only consideration there would be where would I get the most money out of my time? Because at the end of the day, I also want to spend time with my family. I want to watch a few, Netflix movies after that. So it's not really working the whole day. So if we are able to, pivot, faster than what they can make from their houses and get that let's say they cannot compare that income that they would be making from the systems that we would be set up. I think that's one of the best recipe to get loyalty again from the people working from home. Because at the end of the day, their number one loyalty is their time, and time is really based on money or money and time. But,
yeah, and I also agree that the risk reward models are the ones which will lead to higher productivity. I think entrepreneurs are the best examples. They are the most motivated people. They never get tired if they get onto a problem, and they solve problems. And I think we'll see more. So it'll not be employees, but it'll be entrepreneurs who will be working for their own and making sure that they're culturally connected to our organization, who is valuing their time and talent.
yes.
The traditional models would not work. If you're just thinking that this is a seat which is connected at home, it will not work. The productivity will go down. That is what we have observed. There are also a couple of questions around security. Neil, you want to take that? I can add a little bit, but maybe you can. Have you seen specific concerns around the work from home, security control, or customer information data protection?
I can share an actual request from the customer. Hardening of the password. So hardening of the password meaning there's always a change on the login, so that to make sure that the correct agent is the one really accessing the system. So I guess there's technology to do that. In fact, I know from Nick mentioned that it's already available in Ameyo. I guess that's one really security that can be done.
Yeah. So we have seen two-factor authentication, device lock-in, so you can only log in from a specific device. There are now company-provided devices that will only work behind VPN. So we are talking about bank-grade security already implemented on some of these systems. And then on the data, making sure that, for example, on mobile, screenshots cannot be taken, recording cannot happen if the application is on. There's another thing that customer's number is not exposed, because there is also data privacy concerns, that you make sure that the numbers are masked. Those are some of the requests that we are seeing depending on the processes. And we have been continuously enhancing the platform to bring those concerns. By the way, we are also going to do a very big announcement in the coming 2 weeks on PCI DSS. So all our data centers, about 80 servers across the world, are going to be PCI DSS certified, so that we are able to give that confidence to the end users. And this is on our own cloud, and then we can facilitate for customers' cloud also, that you make sure that your customers are absolutely confident of the data, because that's going to be an important thing as you move to cloud and move to remote. Yeah, I think those were some of the questions, guys. Somebody's asking about price. Please get in touch with us, all our partners, and we'll see what help we can do for you. Today's session was more to share knowledge and insights that all of us have observed. And once again, Ian, thank you so much for sharing your journey. Neil, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Let me add.
Closing remarks. Go ahead. Yeah.
So the person who's asking for the price. So as an entrepreneur, so we've been with Ameyo since 2015, and before we even we had that partnership with Ameyo, we've been all over the place. We're scouting the value for money at the end of the day, like checking all types of vendors, suppliers, and what would be the best fit for us, because we were just a startup back then. Fast forward, even after getting Ameyo, we're still shopping around. We're still looking for other vendors I'm not yet sold like Ameyo is really the way to go for the next hundreds of seats to keep on expanding with Ameyo. We're not sure if it will still be Ameyo. But this is already 2020. We're about 2021. I had that long talk with Nick, the one who's handling our account, and I just told him it's just going to be Ameyo all the way because basically everyone's very happy. We've tried different stuff. It's not working. We've spent this much amount of money. It's actually a learning experience for us. So I don't just to share with you. We've been to India also. We've scouted some vendors there. I mean that's how scrappy we are in terms of squeezing every peso that we can get for the vendors. And at the end of the day, we're back on square one. We're still with Ameyo. So at least I think I should have just joined India and just saw India for the sake of it. But for the guy who's asking for the price, I think you can't go wrong with Ameyo. Not really I'm not saying that because I'm a host here, but it's really and plus the support.
I want to mention the support. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Nick has really been a gentleman in terms of how he approaches the business. And I put that on my last slide. I think we've gotten more than what we paid for all the support. And Nick, who doesn't live in the Philippines, is always here. I think he's also living at Neo's place already because it's always here and it's living in the Philippines. I can figure that out.
We love traveling to Manila. It's a place that we love. I'm personally a big fan of San Miguel. If we have a San Miguel club here, I'm a big fan of San Miguel. Even Jollibee. You will not believe. Every time I am there, at least 2 or 3 of my meals have to be at Jollibee with my friends, and then a San Miguel after that. Hey, thank you so much, guys. This was a great session. Thank you so much, audience. Thank you so much. A copy of the webinar would be shared with you very soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay smiling. As Ian said, I think if you overcome your fears, you're able to think more intelligently. So I hope that everybody stays safe. God bless. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.